You know the places marked with the S sign? They're safe places to go when you hear the alarm. It's a bomb. Duck and cover. Duck and cover. Atta boy, Tony. Duck and cover. That's the first thing to do. Duck and cover.
Supposed to do when you see the flash?
This video shows how the Soviet Union and the Western Allies finally agreed on how to split up Germany into, quote, zones of occupation. They soon became bitter enemies, and this is when the Cold War started. This later led to the Berlin Wall being built. It later shows how in 1949, the US, Canada, and also 10 European countries signed a treaty of controlled security to end the Soviet Union's violence and aggression.
Within 2 years of taking control over Eastern Europe, the Soviet Union had also effectively taken over mainland China.
This next video shows how happy people were when they were finally able to take down the Berlin Wall after it had controlled their lives for so long. This was a big accomplishment to the Germans because of the conditions of both sides of the wall, including poverty and extreme control. At a time when the Cold War had been going on for about 14 years, there was a lot of tension in Germany. Their Berlin Wall was built. The triumph and tragedy in the fall of their Berlin Wall is families and friends that had been separated and then were reunited. This is significant because America won, the Cold War ended, East and West Germany were reunited, and the Soviet Union fell apart completely. There is lots of triumph and tragedy included in the Berlin Wall. When the wall was built, that was a big tragedy for all the friends and families that were separated, as well as the country as a whole. It took a very big toll on the country because there was a lot of tension between the two sides of the wall. When the wall finally was torn down, it was a triumph. Everyone was reunited, the country grew closer together, and were then stronger. The Cold War started in 1947 because of a rivalry between the Soviet Union and the Allies of the United States. The Cold War was a rivalry between communism and capitalism. Communism is the theory that everything and everyone is equal regardless of work. Capitalism is the idea that you work for what you want. Almost all of the countries in the world had to take a side. Even though a lot of countries were involved, the US and the Soviet Union were the most important of the countries involved. The US were beginning to feel threatened and fearful as the Soviet Union was taking over and communism was spreading. The YouTube video, Why Did the Cold War Begin, states, quote, Americans fear that the spread of communism threatens their freedom and way of life with a system of government based on terror, oppression, and loss of individual liberty, end quote. The Americans fear that the Soviet Union was going to win and take over many countries.
There is a lot of background events that led to the Berlin Wall being built, such as the space race. The US and the Soviet Union were competing in the space race in 1955.
They were trying to see who could get into space first. It took a lot of planning, research, safety procedures, etc. The US officially won the space race in 1975 when they were the first ones to land on the moon. This was part of the reason why there was so much tension between the Soviet Union and the US. The History Channel explains, quote, "By landing on the moon, the United States effectively won the space race that had begun with Sputnik's launch in 1957. For their part, the Soviets made 4 failed attempts to launch a lunar landing craft between 1969 and 1972, including a spectacular launch pad explosion in July 1969, end quote. The Berlin Wall separated West and East Berlin. The Soviet Union controlled the east or the communist side. The United States led the west or the capitalist side. They built the wall basically overnight on August 13, 1961. Everyone in Germany was terrified as families got ripped apart. The wall stood for a whole 28 years and was finally torn down in 1989 under the influence of Ronald Reagan's speech in 1987 when he said, quote, "Tear down this wall," mainly addressed to Mikhail Gorbachev, the leader of the Soviet Union at the time. They put up the Berlin Wall because lots of people were trying to leave the communist side of Berlin and the USSR was trying to spread communism. So, to prevent more people leaving, they built the Berlin Wall. Even after the wall was put up, people were trying to escape from the east side of the wall, but there were multiple watchtowers along the wall. Soldiers were required to shoot down anyone that tried to cross the wall. Lots of people risked their lives trying to get to the west side to see their families and have a better, less fearful life. The article Berlin Wall Fast Facts from Gale states, quote, "A wide open area of dirt and sand, a buffer zone between the two walls, became known as No Man's Land, or the Death Strip, where guards in more than 300 watchtowers could shoot anyone trying to escape."